Hey, I'm Andrew Rose, and I'm here to demonstrate and show you how to make a title introduction to a video. And let's just get to the point. Here it is. There we go. And what we're going to be covering is how to get this nice text effect going on, along with this effect right here, which is the CC Scatterize effect, and also the main logo right here, how to get that nice transitional look. So let's begin. Let me close QuickTime, and we're going to make a new composition. This looks good. I like to frame rate looks fine for me. Video is going to be only about 5 seconds, but duration, I'm going to keep it as 10. Extra time doesn't hurt. So what we're going to do is make a new solid. Go to Layer, New, Solid. Let's make it green. And what I did, let's go back to this comp. What I did is I made a ramp to match the same color as these graphics, and I made these graphics in Illustrator. I'm not going to demonstrate how to do that. I think we all know how to make basic graphics in Illustrator. So let's go over here to the effects and presets and type ramp, generate ramp, double click, and let's make this color, let's make it a dark green. And there are these little handles right here that can affect how much it affects the background. I'm actually changing my color of green to something brighter. Pull this down a little bit. Alright, there we go. So there is our basic background. Now we're going to go to our project window, and we're going to grab our text layer first. It's blue right now because that's the color I chose in Illustrator, but we can change that by going to the effects and presets, and let's go to curves. So double click, let's go to the red, let's bump up the red value, go to the blue value, let's bump that down, into the green, bump that up. And we're not going to affect the RGB at all. I am happy with this color green. Let's rename these layers actually. Let's do text. And this is background. Alright, so pretty much it's a lot of layering, a lot of repetition. So let's close this, and let's add a glow. Stylize glow. Double click. Got that nice retro neon look, and we can change these values. This affects the threshold of the glow. I'm fine with 60. And the radius, that's just how much the glow affects the area around it. Let's bump it up to 30. And the glow intensity is just how intense the glow is. I think one's fine. So we start out with the scaling of this. And let's start from the beginning. We're at the beginning. Let's make it 15. Now all this is personal preference. I'm just doing what I think looks good. Of course, what I think looks good is different from what everyone else looks good. And we're going to go up to the 1 second mark and bump it up to 55, and then bump it up to 125. Now, of course, tighter that these are together, the faster it's going to go. I'm not going for something too terribly fast or too slow. It's not going to be as fast as something like this. So, and along with that, we're going to hit Shift P, bring up the position. And what I did in the first comp is that I just had it do a simple just a corkscrew, I guess, positioning of it. So I'm going to do something like that. So let's position it right here. And also, what I also did is that I made it very, very fast. What I did, the technique, is that I started at, say, the position. I kept it at the same, and then I would jump it to the next spot, and then I would keep it there, and then I would move it, and then I would keep it there. So that's what we're going to do. And I also applied an easy ease to make it more seamless, and we're going to be doing that as well. So let's get that position right there. And like I said, I kept it at this spot, and then I would move it, and then I would keep it. But you know what? Maybe we'll be doing something different. Let's just check the time. Okay. So right here, let's move it over here. And keyframe it again. It's just without adjusting the positioning, just click right here and it keeps it there. And then we're going to move it, let's move it right here. Keep it right there. Then we'll move it down. Keep it right there. And then let's see. And then we'll just bring it back to right here. And if you click this and hit title safe, you can do your best to align it. Yeah, that looks pretty good for right now. Alright, so there we go. Now we're also going to Control or Shift T, bring up the opacity. Now let's make the opacity start at 0. Stopwatch to keyframe it. And we're going to hit this, and as soon as this next position thing gets brought up, we're going to increase the opacity by 15. Move it a little bit. Keyframe it. And then drop it down to 0. And then keyframe it again. And then let's bring it up to let's bring it up to 40. Again, all these values, it's up to you. Keyframe it again. Bring it down to 0. Let's click this again. Actually, let's try it over a little bit. And then once it comes over this spot, let's bump it up to 65. And let's just keep it right there. And then drop it down to 0. I guess the technique that I'm going for is that whenever it appears at one of these designated positions, I'm going to have it appear. So this would be just do 75. and I'll make it go back to 0. And I'll keep it at 0 until it comes over here 100%. So there we go, we got that. There we go. Again, you can do whatever you want. I'm just giving you the technique of how I got this effect. And along with this, yeah, we're going to duplicate this. Oh, that brings up the source name. This is a layer name. So Control D. And we're going to offset this just by a couple of seconds, just to give it that layered look. So, yep, there we go. Let's do it again. 0 RAM preview. Let's bring this down to half, because it's going to start getting complicated here soon. So click this and control click this and go to layer, pre-compose. Text effect. I spelled it, but oh well. I didn't spell it, but so what we're going to do is add a blur effect to this to add to the effect that we have already. So the blur I like using is the Gaussian blur. Any blur would work, really. It's just the style that you're going for. So we're going to double click, and we're not going to set anything right now, but let's just take a look at what we have. So, you know what, I might actually start at 10, and then with every second passing, we'll drop it down by, I don't know, 4. So that's 6. Actually, it's maybe not what I want. Oops. There we go. Hit U on the keyboard to bring up the all the effects that you have applied. Let's drop this down to 3. I might actually put this at 2. Okay. So get the look that you're wanting. And now it's time to add the CC Scatterize effect. So what this does is it just scatters the layer that you have into these little particles, and you can adjust the twist. This is the degree that it moves, and this is the mount, the rotation. So I'm going to go with the same numbers that I used in the video that I first displayed at the very beginning. Or maybe I'll play with the numbers, we'll see. So what we're going to do is we're going to start everything at 0. I may not use the left twist, but hey. And then it'll stay up there for a second. And then hit U to go back. I'm going to drag this stuff over here. And then at 5 seconds, we're going to make the scatter 150. The right twist 188 degrees. And the amount of rotation is going to be 2. And we're not going to mess with that, so I'll just keyframe it. Or you could just not keyframe it at the very beginning. So there we go. We got this nice twist going on. It's looking good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to offset it just a little bit. And I'm going to duplicate again, Control D, and offset it again. And let's see how this looks. There we go. Oh, the brightness, yes. Let's mess with the opacity. If we're going to mess with the opacity anyway, let's hit U, and T brings up the opacity. We're going to Shift, hit T. Opacity is at 100, and by the time it, actually let's move this over here, and then by the time it gets to the end, it's going to be 0. And the same is going to be done for this. So U, Shift T, opacity, we're going to make this 50. And then come down over here, it's going to be 0. And then the last one, U, Shift T, put it in the middle, opacity 25, and then drop it down to 0. It's kind of like layering, like a painting or anything in Photoshop. You just layer it to make it look good. So there we go. Just want to double check. Okay. All right. So there we have it. There we have that part. And now we're going to move on to the logo. It's pretty much the same procedure. Here's the logo. Scale it up a little bit. And S brings up the scale. Let's hit this, go to tile safe, bring this up so we can scale it, or not scale it, but position it to how we want it to look. This dot right here is the center of the composition, so yeah, that looks good enough. Alright, so we're going to go into the text effect, into the text, go into the effects, and we're going to copy, Control C, the curves, to apply it to this, and we're also going to go to the glow, Control C, and we're going to apply to that. So now we have a uniform look that looks good. So what we're going to do now is apply an effect called a CC image wipe. This is how I got this nice fade in the logo over here. So let's go back in the comp, and I'm going to name this logo. And CC, go here in the effects and presets, go to the image wipe. So this is let me just demonstrate how different this effect is without the glow. It's boring. It doesn't have that pizzazz. So let's reset that, go back to the glow, turn it on. So the completion, that's kind of just bringing in the image. And this border softness is kind of like a feathering effect. Play with these values to see what you're happy with. For me, I'm using the same numbers that I used in the demonstration, or in the video I showed. So we're going to figure out when we want this to be coming in. I feel like making it start, how about right here? So let's go to the completion, and what we're going to do is make it 78%. Click the stopwatch to keyframe it, and then border softness, we're going to put it at 100% and keyframe that. Now let's hit U on the keyboard, and we, depending on how fast you want it to transition in, we're going to drop it down to 0, or the completion down to 1, and I got this backwards. This is 100%. This is 0. So now we get this nice transition. Looks good. And now we're going to duplicate the logo, Control D. We're going to offset this again. I like using this as a ruler. It's just me, but so there we go. So let's hit 0 on the number pad to get a ramp preview. Maybe it's too fast of a transition, so I'm going to delete that so I don't have to put in extra work to change those settings. There we go. That's alright. So let's go back and Control D, duplicate that, offset it, and now we're going to click both these, Control, click to get both of them, go to Layer, Recompose. That's called Logo Effect. And now for this, we're going to kind of do the same thing. We're going to apply blur, Gaussian blur, so it's not, start with 5 and see how that looks. Okay, that looks good. 5, and then not when it's completely formed, but almost. There we go. Alright. So now we're going to apply the scatterize effect. Let me just check the time, 22. I'm going to try and wrap this up. We're going to do CC scatterize. And we're going to probably make it scatterize after, just as soon as this is starting. Okay, so we're going to hit the keyframe, get all going, and we're going to move it up to 5 seconds, and we're going to make the scatter 150, the right twist 188, 2, and see how that looks. It gives it a nice, it's a uniform twist. That's what I was going for. But also I now need to, that's the transparency of it. Transparency, opacity, it's at 100, so now we're going to drop down to 0. There we go. Nice, everything is just seamless together. And now I'm going to Control D, duplicate. Going to offset this as well. But now instead of the opacity being 100, we're going to drop down to 50. And that's going to be 0. Okay, awesome. Looking good. And now it's time to add the camera. Well, before the camera, let's let's go for the camera. Layer, new, camera, 28, and I like to start over here to see this. Go to transform. Oh, forgot to implement 3D layers. Alright, So this is a 3D layer, allows you to kind of implement stuff in 3D space, but it's not 3D space. So here we go. Everything but the background. And now go into the camera options. And now I'm going to pull away a little bit, not too much. And where does everything go? Everything goes right there. Alright, so I'm just going to click on these and just drag up. Starts going at 3. So, and then I'm going to click this and go down. Even if I don't mess with these settings, I just like to keyframe them just in case if I accidentally key one of them, or I've had bad experiences with it, so I'm just playing it safe. And when that is starting to go, we're going to zoom in a little bit, and we're also going to keyframe the point of interest. And you know what, we might, what rotation do I want to use? I don't want to use that rotation. Let's get some Z action. So then when that is turning, well, we can either do what I did in the original video and go down, or maybe I'll go down. I'll go down still. Alright, so over here are the camera tools, and I got the orbit camera, and if you hold shift and then move it, you can move the camera, and as you can tell, it's not 3D. This is the fake 3D, but you're able to move stuff in Z space. And let's see how that looks good. And then maybe I'll zoom in now. Add a zoom. I'm going to hit the X and Y camera to just pan away from this. You don't want to get too close, because then you can tell that it's obviously fake. So let's see how. I may start decreasing the opacity to get rid of this problem. Go back to the Z. We want to make this. Hopefully that doesn't affect. There we go. That's something I was looking for. Now let's add some of that Z rotation. Keyframe the Z. And let's do 60. See what that gives us. Maybe I don't want a rotation. Yeah, rotation's not looking good. I don't want to make it look like. So yeah, some of this opacity stuff. Just hitting. This quick way of doing this is just hitting all these. Shift T. And drag the stuff over. Crap. So yeah, let's check it out in the RAM preview. Let's close all these. Watch it again. Camera movement. There we go. What we could do is for that, delete that. We could make this in, go to, select the frame, or the keyframes, right click, keyframe assistant, easy ease. That'll give it a better look, natural look. There we go. And you could duplicate more of these to add more particles, add, you know, some more dynamic to it. What I didn't do is that I wanted to easy ease these position as well, and as well the opacity. Gives it a just smoother and position. From assistant, easy ease. It's going to be a much. There we go. Some more disorienting. That's kind of what I was going for. Maybe RAM preview. There we go. All we need is to add a vignette. Let's add a dark green, solid. Let's get the mask, the ellipse tool. We're going to make a mask. Click and drag to wherever you want it, and then go over to the mask options, go to subtract, go to the feather, let's feather it out a little bit, and then mess with the expansion. I don't want it to expand too much. We got feathered too much. There we go. And we're also going to make it fade in from black. So we're going to make a black solid. Okay. Let's hit T, opacity, put stopwatch, let's move it up a couple frames. 0. Actually, let's move it up to a second. And what I also did, let's make resolution full, and there's this thing right here, this is motion blur. So what we're going to do is just going to drag down and make them all motion blurred. And I'm kind of OCD, so I just go into every single comp and I click on motion blur, even though don't need to. So, and to apply the motion blur, you click this. So, well, here we go. Rain preview is going to take a while. Not looking bad. And this motion blur is definitely the icing on the cake. Boom. Let's watch it one more time. There we go. And if you wanted to render it out, just go to Composition, add a render queue. Settings look good. Go to the output module. It loads. Change the format to QuickTime. Go to JPEG. Good quality for it doesn't produce a huge file. And OK. And then you just simply choose your output. But I'm not going to render it out. Let's show it one more time. Just hit 0. There you go. That's it. And this is Andrew Rose. Showed you how to implement an image wipe, glow, scatterize effect, and some basic positioning and opacity tricks to get yourself a nice opening to a video. I hope you enjoyed.